Hello everybody, welcome to Megha Discourse, and in today's session we would be discussing our question paper of GATE examination which was conducted in 2023 by IIT Kanpur, right? So we have already covered the question papers of 2021, 2022 and now it is the turn of 2023. So please go and check the playlist of our GATE PYQ series, right? And in our videos we are covering the answers and the other three options as well, so that it would become easier for you to get an big picture, get a comprehensive analysis of the question paper itself, right? I have been receiving lots of positive responses on my this series because GATE examination is coming, and I would also upload marathons, practice questions and some important videos and topics specifically for the upcoming GATE examination, right, in the upcoming days. So please, I want you to stay connected with us and subscribe our channel if you are preparing for GATE examination, and if you are also a UGC NET aspirant, then these question papers will really help you in your own preparation. One thing that I want to add is that as we are moving towards the 2025, as we are moving towards the 2025, we are seeing a kind of pattern in these question papers, and these pattern will help us to make a strategy for ourselves for the upcoming GATE, right? And I would also upload a strategy video after covering these 5 PYQs. So please stay with me and just watch this video again and again if you need it, to get an idea and to revise all these things in just 1 hour with me. So here is our first question, and these are the MCQs. That means that you have to select one answer here, and it would be of 1 marks, and question number 27 to 40. Okay, so here is our first question, which is who published the novel The Bell Jar under the pseudonym of Victoria Lucas? So we have already told you that there is a video on our playlist of pen names and pseudonyms, so you can go and check that video. And also we have seen that in 2022 or 2021 question paper, which is getting repeated in our GATE examination. Okay, so here the answer would be Sylvia Plath. Now she has written this novel The Bell Jar, in which we have a girl whose name is Esther, and there is an autobiographical element in this novel because Sylvia Plath was also facing disappointments, trauma and depression in her own life, and because of that she committed suicide, right? So this bell jar means that her life is like a jar, right? Her life is like a jar, and this jar is kind of suffocating her. Because of this suffocation, she has committed suicide in real life also, right? So this is the bell jar. And also remember this fact that there is one poetry which is the Colossus. Her poetry's name, another Colossus. Please remember this poetry collection. Also, you should know that she was the wife of our another poet who was Tad Hughes, who used to write animals poetry. She has also written important poems like Lady Lazarus and Daddy. Okay, so please do remember these facts, and let us just come to our another options, right? So here our another option is Dorothy Richardson. Now Dorothy Richardson is also a British writer, and she is also known as the Wordsworth of London, right? Because she used to write poetry similar to William Wordsworth, but William Wordsworth was somebody who used to deal with the trees and mountains, but she used to talk about the pavements. There is a collection of her works which is known as Pilgrimage, and in these pilgrimages there is one novel which is The Pointed Roofs. Okay, and this is the first stream of consciousness novel in English. You should know this fact. Okay, know this fact. This will widen your knowledge. And this stream of consciousness is related to whom? It was Virginia Woolf who used it the most. The another option is Virginia Woolf, and we have already talked about Virginia Woolf, that she is related to stream of consciousness, and in stream of consciousness she has written novels like Mrs. Dalloway, To the Lighthouse, and The Death of the Moth, right? So gate examination is always giving this option of Virginia Woolf, okay? And then we have this Alice Walker. Now Alice Walker is also an American novelist and short story writer. Okay, now she has written one very important work, which was The Color Purple. Okay, The Color Purple. So that she is the first Afro-American, woman who won the Pulitzer Prize. Okay, so this is all about this question. Let us just move to our another question. In which collection did Walt Whitman's poem Song of Myself first appear? Now here we should know that Walt Whitman is known as the father of blank verse. He is known as father of blank verse and most celebrated poet of America, we can say. And now the Song of Myself, in which he celebrates himself by using first person point of view, right? That I celebrate myself. He talks about he talks about an individual entity of himself, right? And it first appears in Leaves of Grass, right? So this is a collection of poems, and this Two Revelotes is the sequel of this collection. This is the sequel of this Leaves of Grass. So here the answer would be Leaves of Grass. And when it comes to other options, we have November Bose. Now this is also a kind of collection of his poems. Okay, and then we have The Golden Bow. Now this was a work that is written by J.Z. Fraser, and it is concerned with the archetypal criticism, okay, which deals with the myth, recurring patterns, archetypes in literature. Okay, so let us just move to our another question. And when it comes to Walt Whitman, we should also know that he has written important poetries like Oh Captain, My Captain. I hope that you have read them already in your honors graduation or post graduation. Oh Captain, My Captain, which is an elegy on the death of Abraham Lincoln. Okay, know this fact. Now question number 29, who wrote the introduction of Rabindranath Tagore's Gitanjali? So here we should know that the introduction, now Rabindranath Tagore wrote this work Gitanjali, for which he also received Nobel Prize for Literature, and this had an introduction which was written by W.B. Yeats. Okay, W.B. Yeats, and he has also written important poems like Sailing to Byzantium, and The Second Coming, very important, The Second Coming. Now these are all related to the apocalyptic world where there is totally chaos, right? And because of that chaos, there is a future which seems to be really bleak, right? There is a dark all around, and it is related to the World War First and Second. Okay, so these issues, the illusionment that people have faced after these world wars, right? And he is also related to the Irish revival, because he was a poet who was associated with the Ireland. Okay, he wanted to revive the Ireland, its myths, its archetypes, and because of those myths, he uses myths in his poetries, and that is why he is also known as a myth maker. Okay, then we have other options, which is W.H. Auden. Now W.H. Auden is also an Irish poet, and he has written elegy for W.B. Yeats, which is in memory of W.B. Yeats. And Auden has also written important poems like The Shield of Achilles, September 1, 1939. So these are all related to world wars. T.S. Eliot and the Ezra Pound. Now we should know that T.S. Eliot has written, he is a modern poet, okay, and he has written important poems like The Wasteland, which is having 5 parts, and I have already told you in my previous PYQ video that how in this he has included Hindu Upanishads philosophy, right? He has also based a line on the rhyme of London Bridge is falling down, and this is having 5 parts, and this is also related to the word bar, post word war, disillusionment. Okay, and now this wasteland used to be a very big poem, but it was this Ezra Pound who, made it somewhat short. Still, it is not short, but he tried to made amendments into this poem, and that is why this wasteland is a kind of dedication towards our Ezra Pound, and that is why he says, T.S. Eliot says to Ezra Pound that he is a for his better craftsmanship. Okay, all these facts are important and these will widen your knowledge of English literature. And Ezra Pound is also related to imagism. Imagism means the precision of language, that you have to use calculated language. Okay, so this is all about this question. Identify the title of the poem in the following lines, right? So हमें title बताना है. So here, he was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint, and all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint, for in everything he did, he served the greater community, right? So these are the lines that have been taken from The Unknown Citizen, and this is written by, our W.H. Auden. We have discussed him earlier, right? So in this Unknown Citizen, he says that how there are the people who are the ordinary people, or we can say the unknown citizens, and they have been giving commands that yes, you have to go to the war like the army people, and when there is one signal from the leader that yes, you have to go, you have to kill the people, so they have to follow that order, right? Even if they do not want to, even if they want to end the war, even if they are peaceful, they have to follow the instructions. So that is how our society controls us, right? That is how we are, following the people, following the authorities, and taking their orders and actions, right? So he was found by a Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint, right? And all the reports on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint, for in everything he did, he served the greater community. That yes, you are serving a greater community, and that is why you have been called a saint, and there are no reports against you, no reports are against you, and you have to, do this thing, you have to do this order, right? Because you have been selected by Bureau of Statistics to perform such duties. Okay, then we have another options, the memory in memory of W.B. Yeats. As I have already told you, this is an elegy on the death of W.B. Yeats, written by Auden, and these are also the poems that are written by W.H. Auden. Okay, then we have question number 31, which is, you are not the kind of guy who would be at a place like this at this time of the morning, but here you are, and you cannot say that the terrain is entirely unfamiliar, though the details are fuzzy, right? So identify the point of view used in the following passages. So we have to identify the point of view. What is a point of view? It is a kind of view from the point of narrator. इसी को ही तो हम point of view बोलते हैं, है ना? So here we can see that they are the using words like, you are not the kind of guy who would be at place like this, and but here you are, and you cannot see. So here there is a repetition of you can see. So it is the second person point of view, because in the first person point of view, let me tell you, in the first person point of view, narrator will say I, because he is the first person here. He is addressing from himself directly, right? I, we, me, us, right? In the second person, we use you. Okay, and then we have third person. In the third person, there is he, she, it, and they, or some name, right? And in the limited point of view, these are the sub parts of this third person point of view, or we can say the fourth person point of view. Okay, so please remember these facts. Which of the following is a novel by Charles Dickens? Now please, you have to remember the novels of Charles Dickens. There are many novels that have been written by Charles Dickens, who is a Victorian novelist. So here the answer would be, The Old Curiosity Shop. Now this novel is written by Charles Dickens, okay, and there are many novels of Charles Dickens. Have Great Expectations. I'm writing the most important names here. You have to look at the list also, right? Then we have Hard Times. Please remember these names, because one question can be expected from the works of Charles Dickens, that you have to identify the novel, okay? And also we have Oliver Twist, okay, David Copperfield, and there are other novels like Bleak House, Nicholas Nickleby, Pickwick Papers. So please remember these names at least, right? The major names. And here we have this one, Old Curiosity Shop. Now when it comes to other options, The Old Wives' Tale is, written by Arnold Bennett. Now this is a 1908. It is about the lives of two sisters who are working at a kind of a boutique of their mother in the old age. And then we have The Old Bachelor. Now this is a restoration comedy, written in restoration age. It is a kind of restoration comedy, right, written by William Congreve, very famous. William Congreve is very famous for his restoration comedies. Know this fact. Now restoration comedies are very vulgar, witty. They have fopes, dandies in the works, and he is also famous for Comedy of Manners. Comedy of Manners, and his most important work is The Way of the Word, okay. And then we have 100 Years of Solitude. Now this 100 Years of Solitude is written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and he is famous for magic realism. And this is a story of 7 generations. This is a story of 7 generations and the decline of the city of Mokondo, okay. And this Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and we have Salman Rushdie, who has written Midnight Children. They are famous for magical realism. It is about the blending of magic fiction with the art, okay, with the magic elements, but they show the reality, right? So that is magical realism. Then we have another question, which is, which linguistic process can be seen in the formation of the following words? Now very important question. So here we have borrowing, compounding, blending, and back formation. So let us see the answer here. So the word smoke. The smoke has been made by smoke plus fog. Okay, then we have brunch. Brunch is made by breakfast plus lunch. Then we have motel. Motel is made by hotel plus motor. Then we have telecast. Telecast is made by television plus broadcast. Okay. So here these words have been formed by blending 2 words, right? So this is the process here is blending, okay. So this would be the answer. And when it comes to other options, let me explain them to you also, so that if you get the question, you get it right. First we have borrowing. The borrowing means that we borrow, we borrow the words from another language. From another language. For instance, we have biology here. So here bio is a Latin word. Bio has been taken from bio, that is a Greek language, and logy is also language. Okay, so these two words have been taken from another language. So that is known as borrowing, okay. And then we have compounding. Compounding means that we make compounds. We have 2 lexemes. What is a lexeme? Lexeme is word. So here we compound 2 words, like we have homework, right? So these 2 have been compound to make homework, right? So that is known as compounding. And then we have back formation. Back formation means that we form the words from the back, right? जैसे कि we have resurrection. We used to have this word resurrection, but what we did, we removed this TION here from here, okay, and we made the word resurrect. So that is known as back formation, okay. Similarly, we have other linguistics processes that you have to look for, and we would also upload videos on other terms as well, and you can go and check the linguistic linguistics video on our channel. There you will come across with terms like these. And let me give you a homework for today also. I am seeing that you are not telling me in the comment section the homeworks that I am giving you, so that is a very bad thing. The homework for today is you have to tell me biopic, and then we have the channel. These are the examples of which linguistic process, okay. The options are these, okay. So tell me in the comment section, and this is your homework, okay. Please take this seriously. Which writer is credited with the chutneyfication of the Indian language? Now, chutneyfication means that we have to chutneyfy. Chutney, that is an Indian element, okay. So we have to include in English our Indian taste, है ना? That is the meaning. So we have to speak English or write English in such a way that we include Indian taste into this. Indian words, Indian phrases, Indian idioms, Indian feelings, Indian emotions, Indian thoughts, right? Indian culture. So that is known as chutneyfication of Indian English. And these terms, the writer who is credited with this term is Salman Rushdie. Okay. So please remember this also. Salman Rushdie is famous for magical realism also, and Midnight Children, very important work. And Salman Rushdie is a very controversial, and Salman Rushdie is a very controversial writer, because against him there is a fatwa to kill him, because he has written works like the Satanic Verses. He has written this work, the Satanic Verses, for which there is a fatwa that has been announced for him to kill him. And there has been multiple attempts to assassinate our Salman Rushdie, right? So please know these facts also. He has been accused of blasphemy, to talk against God, to talk against authority, okay, to talk against a religion. Then we have Amitav Ghosh. Now this Amitav Ghosh has written novels related to the environment, okay, partition, and he is also known for his Ibis trilogy. Go and watch the trilogies video on our channel, okay. The Ghosh is also important because he has written the Shadow Lines, which is a kind of novel that deals with the identity, partition, right? It deals with the Dhaka, the events, the post-partition and before the partition, and how things gets changed. It signifies the lines that we are having between different culture, between different countries. These lines are invisible. They are the shadows. They do not exist. We are the people who have made borders. We are the people who have made countries. But God did not make any religion, right? Then we have Arundhati Roy. Now she has also written The God of Small Things. And then we have Raja Rao, who has written Kanthapura, right? Kanthapura is a novel, based on the Sthal Puran. It is a kind of Sthal Puran, that means oral story, right? And in which we have a character, Murthy. And he is based, and his ideology is based on the Gandhi's ideology of non-obedience, of making cotton, of making a country self-reliant. Okay, so this is it. And Raja Rao is also one of the pillars of our Indian English novels. Okay, so let us just move to another question. Who would you associate the term simulacra with? So I have already told you this. Jean Baudrillard is a postmodern thinker. Postmodern thinker who has given this term of simulacra in his work Simulacrum and Simulations. Okay, simulacra means there is no, attachment between the reality and its image. Okay, we are living in a postmodern world where there is no reality. We are seeing pictures online, and these pictures that are online are not real. If you are seeing this, words, they do not exist in the real manner. But here we have this image of this text. Okay, so there is a difference, or we can say there is no relation between the reality and the image. So we are living in a world where there is representations of representations, right? So this was the idea of simulacra. And he also talks about hyper reality. Hyper reality means that things seems to be more real than real. That is hyper real. Okay, hyper real. Okay, then we have other options like Noam Chomsky, who talks about generative grammar, universal grammar, transformational grammar, and how we have LAD, language acquisition device, in our mind. What is universal grammar or generative grammar? Yeah, universal grammar is an idea that the language learning process is natural. It is innate in us. When we were child, nobody gave us the instructions to use Hindi language or our native language. We learned it, right, by by seeing the environment, by observing the environment. And there was a kind of language acquisition device, which is an hypothetical tool, a tool that does not exist, but we believe that there is a kind of tool in our mind that helps us to grasp the rules, and we do not need any instructions in order to learn some language. So language acquisition is an innate process. So these were the ideas of Noam Chomsky. Okay, then we have Felix Guattari, and then we have other Gilles Deleuze. Yes, Gilles Deleuze. Now they both have, they both are associated with the term of deterritorialization. Deterritorialization means to deterritorialize, that there is a, let me make you understand that there is a territory, and there is something, and you are taking this thing out of this territory. You are re-territorializing that thing. Okay, so that is territorializing, means to take the things out of that context. For instance, if you are living in India today, but you are moving from India to London, then your language will change, your culture will change, your lifestyle would change, the way you live, the way you talk, the way you walk, the food that you eat, things will change. That means you are getting deterritorialized, your territory is getting changed. And when you will reach London, you are re-territorializing, you are doing this again, you are shifting at a place again. So that is but moving out from there, here is D. Okay, so these are the concepts of Felix and Gilles Deleuze. Okay, then we have another option, which is Michel Foucault. Now Michel Foucault is also a kind of postmodern thinker, and who has also applied deconstruction in his philosophies. Deconstruction, postmodern, right? He is also discussed in the post-colonial ideas, and he has given ideas like power, knowledge, very important concept of Michel Foucault, that with the power comes knowledge, and with the knowledge comes power. Because if you have knowledge of something, then you can talk in front of people, you can make a discourse. Another idea, discourse is a kind of narrative, or we can say a topic. Those who have the knowledge decides the topic, if you know this thing. Because if I have a knowledge of something, then I would talk about it. If somebody who does not have a knowledge of particular topic, then how would they talk about this? So those people who have knowledge, they decide the discourse. Okay, and that discourse, the main discourse, that is the mainstream discourse, will decide that who is having the power, because the things that are present everywhere, they have power, right? And he also gave an idea of panopticon. What is panopticon? Let me make you understand this kind of situation. Just imagine there is this circle, and on the circle we have pigeons. These are all the pigeons, and there is a tower here in the center, and from this tower there are guards who are, watching these pigeons. It is a kind of surveillance system, that I am watching you. This is an all seeing guards. They are observing these pigeons. What are they doing? What are they talking about? What are they eating? They are keeping a check to these prisoners. Okay, so this is known as panopticon. And this concept of having a jail like this, in which we have a tower, this was given by Bentham, Jeremy Bentham. Okay, but this term was coined by Michel Foucault. This is it. Plato's idea of republic, there is no place for thee. Now we should know that Plato has written this work Republic, and in which he said that there is no place for the poets in our city, in our country, because poets write anything. They are mad people, they write in frenzy, they are crazy people, because poet has some divine messages. And how can we believe in something that does not exist? They're writing on love, they're writing on vulgar themes, then writing on heroic things, they're writing on anything. They are not scientific and rational, so they should be banned from the city, they should be banned from an ideal state. Okay, so that is the idea of Plato. Then we have question number 37, in which what was Aristotle's definition of hubris? Now what is hubris? Hubris is a kind of a false sense of pride which eventually causes the character's downfall. This is a kind of hamartia, another term given by Aristotle. Hamartia, it means some mistake or some weakness, or other terms like error of judgment, that you judge something wrong, that this is your mistake, or you have missed the mark, right? So that is hamartia. So hubris is a kind of hamartia of pride, being egoistic, right? And in the pride you are doing things without any check and control, and that will lead to your downfall or catastrophe, we can say. Okay, for instance, we have seen the works of Marlowe, in which we have Dr. Faustus. There is a hubris of that pride, that he has the power, he can go against the god with the help of Mephistopheles. This is this pride that made, that was the reason of his downfall. Okay, Stephen Dedalus is a recurring character in the works of. So Stephen Dedalus is a recurring character. Recurring means repeated, who are getting repeated, appearing again and again. So in the works of James Joyce, we see the character of Stephen Dedalus again, because James Joyce has written two works like Ulysses and A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. Okay, so in these two works we see there is a character of Stephen Dedalus. Who is this Stephen Dedalus? Let us see. Dedalus was the father of Icarus. Okay, and he advised, and they were both prisoners of a king, and they had to flee from that prison. Okay, so Stephen was a very intelligent, we can say, artist, and he made wings. He made wings in order to fly from that prison. This is the land area and this is the sea area, and here we have the sun. So Stephen, the father, said to his son that, please, I am making a big wings for you, and these wings are made of wax. So please do not, from the land to the sea, do not go closer to the sun, otherwise your wax will melt. These wax will melt. Okay, and do not, fly very close to the sea also, because otherwise they would become wet and you will fall. But this Icarus does not listen to his father's advice, and he goes closer to this sun, and he falls into the sea, and he dies. So here we see that how Stephen Daedalus is a kind of character who is intelligent, who gave the advice to his son, artistic, right, and who gave the right advice, right. So Stephen Daedalus is a kind of alter ego, or we can say second self of our writer James Joyce. Okay, and James Joyce feels that I am equally smart, I am artistic, and I want to flee from my country, from different things that control me, from the pressure, from the language pressure, from the culture, from the nation, the people who try to control. He wants to get this freedom, but not like Icarus, who was having pride. Okay, so that is the main idea of this. So I hope you have enjoyed this concept with my favorite concepts of Stephen Daedalus, the fall of Icarus. If you will search the fall of Icarus on Google, you will get this. Then we have H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells is known as the for scientific fictions, who has written works like the Time Machine. We have the Time Machine, and very important work which is The Invisible Man. I hope that you have read this in your 12th class of CBSE. I have read this. There is a character, Dr. Griffin, who is an invisible man who comes to a hotel and by wearing different bandages, and he behaves in a very strange manner. So H.G. Wells is also known as the Shakespeare of science fiction. You should know this fact. Okay, and he is a futurist. Who is a futurist? Tell me, who is a futurist? Futurist is somebody who do the trend analysis, that this will happen in the future. We have seen different YouTube influencers like that AI will come, and technology will grow, and so this is known as share market will grow. They are the futurist. So he was also futurist. He, before the arrival of nuclear bombs, time travel machines, made a forecast of these things, and they did happen, right? Not time travel yet, but let's see, maybe it will. Character, which is another writer, P.G. Wodehouse. Now he is also a British author who is known for his humorist works. Okay, and then we have D.H. Lawrence, very famous for his Sons and Lovers. He is a modern novelist, and he is famous for his Sons and Lovers, in which we have Oedipus complex. We should know this thing, Oedipus complex. And he has written Lady Chatterley's Lovers. Now this was banned in so many countries. Now there are four books of D.H. Lawrence which were banned across the world, but this Lady Chatterley's Lovers was very much controversial in those times, right? So know these facts. Which of the following novels opens with the sentence, "It is truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife"? Now this is very famous line of Pride and Prejudice. I have already told you in the last lecture, in the 2021 lecture I guess, that these are the opening lines of Pride and Prejudice. They are asking this again and again. So please do cover this writer, Jane Austen. Remember her works, okay? And let us see the other options, which is Sense and Sensibility. Now this is also a work written by Jane Austen, right? It is, I think, the first novel of Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice is also written by Jane Austen. Then we have Mansfield Park, also written by Jane Austen, right? Emma, this is also written by Jane Austen. These are all the works of Jane Austen, right? And what was the first title of Pride and Prejudice? First title क्या था? If you can tell, that is First Impressions. Now this Pride and Prejudice is a very lovely story. Go and watch the movie on YouTube and read the summary. You will love it. This is the character of Darcy and Elizabeth. Okay. This title has been taken from The Journey of Maggie, right? Of Maggie, right? And Arrow of God, the title Arrow of God is taken from an proverb, Igbo proverb, right? And A Man of the People is also a novel of Chinua Achebe. And this trilogy includes Arrow of God, No Longer at Ease, and Things Fall Apart. Okay, and all these novels are of Chinua Achebe. Now we have MSQs. Okay, so identify the novels that deal with the trauma of partition. So for partition, we have Shona Singh Baldwin's What the Body Remembers. This is related to the partition, that how in the partition we feel our body have so much of bruises, and the marks of our pain, our exploitation, be it the women, children or men, right? So our body remember those memories, partition traumas. Okay, then we have Amitav Ghosh Sedulines. Already told you that these two are related to the partition. And Anita Desai Rai, The Peacock, is not related to partition. And Kamala Markandeya, Nectar in a Sieve, is also not. This deals with the poverty, and this is a psychological novel. Okay, so let us move to another question. Which of the following writers are associated with the theatre of the absurd? So here Harold Pinter is associated with the theatre of the absurd. Theatre of the absurd has the term that is given by Martin Esslin. Okay, know this fact, that how this word is a theatre of absurd, and we live in a world which is meaningless. It does not make sense. We are all alone on this world. Okay, and nobody is here to help us. So the Harold Pinter, who has written the work like The Birthday Party, The Homecoming, right? And then we have Albert Elby, who has written The Jew Story, right? And Who is Afraid of Virginia Woolf? He has also written this book. So these two are related to the theatre of the absurd, right? But these two, Osborne and John O'Neill. O'Neill has written The Hairy Ape, and he is known for his expressionistic technique, right? That we have to express our thoughts, our emotions. If we will read any expressionistic work like The Hairy Ape, you will see that how there is the setting in which we have sounds, the settings have been described in such a way, right, that it shows the emotions of the character directly, that how we have to express those emotions. Okay, and then we have John Osborne. He is related to angry young man movement, or we can say kitchen sink drama. Okay, he has written Look Back in Anger. Look Back, very important work, in which we have Jamie Potter. Okay, and he tells that how after the World War there is a disillusionment. People are angry, they are frustrated, and they are not able to do their routine activities. Okay, they are frustrated. So here the answer would be A and B. Identify the writers who are referred as metaphysical poets. So here John Donne and Andrew Marvell are the examples of metaphysical poets. And metaphysical poets is a term that is given by Samuel Johnson, who criticized the metaphysical poets like John Donne, Marvell, George Herbert, Henry Vaughan, Abraham Cole, right? He criticized them that they are using wit, and they are mixing intellect with the emotions and writing anything using conceits, metaphysical conceits, right? But it was T.S. Eliot who revived this term, right? Who said that these metaphysical poets have an association of sensibility, that they are using sensibility, they are associating senses with their intellect. Okay, so here these two writers are related to metaphysical poets. Then we have Philip Larkin, who is also a poet, and then we have T.S. Eliot, of which I have already told you about. And T.S. Eliot had also given objective correlative. Please watch the previous PYQ videos in order to understand the pattern, because GATE examination is repeating the topics, repeating the options, repeating the ideas. Okay. What are the sources of Girish Karnad's Hayavadna? Now, the Thomas Mann's The Transported Heads and Somdev's Katha Sarita Sagar. These two are the sources of Hayavadna you should know. Okay. Please remember that who has written Ramayan, it is the Valmiki, and the Metamorphosis has been written by French Kafka, which is an existential work. Because in this we see that how there is a character who becomes a cockroach and people no longer love him, right? There is a crisis of his belonging, of his identity. That is it. Now we have MCQs, right? Again, which of the following terms are used by Coleridge in his theory of imagination? Now, theory of imagination, so this is given in Biographia Literaria, right? The work that is given by Coleridge, Biographia Literaria. Okay. Now the terms like primary imagination, secondary imagination, fancy, so these terms are given by S.T. Coleridge. Okay. Primary imagination means that we all have a primary imagination, that we see a thing and we observe that thing, we can see it, touch it, feel it. Okay, so every person have that primary imagination, but everyone does not have secondary imagination, which is of artistic quality. I am seeing this clutter and I am just seeing this is my primary imagination, but if I am able to make a poem on, able to assimilate all my thoughts related to this clutter and make a poem out of it, to do some creativity work, that is a secondary imagination, and only the poets and the skillful person have that imagination. And then there is a fancy. Okay, that is his own surface. And these terms like negative capability, this was given by John Keats, right? This impersonality theory by T.S. Eliot. Egoistic and sublime, again by John Keats. Pantheism by Wordsworth, Oversoul, right? Acknowledged legislation, atheism, anarchy by P.B. Shelley. These are the ideas. Go and Google all of them. Read more. Which of the following is the forerunner of autobiography? So, St. Augustine's Confession is the forerunner of autobiography. Then we have James Joyce's Portrait of an Artist of a Young Man. This is not an autobiography, but yes, it can be said as a semi-autobiography, okay, but not the forerunner. So, answer would be A, right? And then we have Wordsworth's Prelude. It is also semi-autobiographical, right? And Isaac Walton's Life, this is also it is a kind of collection of biographies in which he has written an autobiography of John Donne, right, etc. To the following poems did Robert Browning intend to write as a play? So here the answer would be In Album. Okay, so this was intended to be written as a play. Okay, but these Man and Woman, Dramatis Personae, and The Ring and the Book, these are all the collection of these are the collections of poems. Okay, he is known for his dramatic monologues. This question can come in your gate. He is known for his dramatic monologues. Dramatic monologues, right? In the dramatic form that you are having a dialogue with the second person. Okay, and his dramatic monologues like My Last Duchess, The Last Ride Together, though, right? So yes, the Age of Reason in English literary history is popularly known as. So here, the neoclassical age is known as the Age of Reason. Then we have medieval period, romantic, and Victorian period. Go and watch the lectures on history of British English if you want to know the depth of all these ages and the specific characteristics and features. And this is also known as, the Age of Enlightenment. Okay, in this we had periodicals, we had magazines, newspapers, and Victorian is known for his novels, romantic for the romantic poetries, lyrical ballads, Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats, right? And the medieval period, the Chaucer's age, and the Dark Ages. Okay, who first translated Derrida's work into English? Now, Derrida is related to deconstruction, and in deconstruction, he has done this work of grammatology, and this work was translated into English by Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, a post-colonial writer. Okay, then we have Edward Said, he is also post-colonial writer who is very famous for Orientalism. Go and watch the previous videos, I have told about this work as well. Then we have Harold Bloom, who has written The Anxiety of Influence, because he says that the new writers have a kind of anxiety in their mind that the past writers have done their best and they have to surpass these. So that is Harold Bloom for us. Paul Deman, who is also related to the language, and in the language we have structures. Okay, so these ideas. Now we have identified the lake poets. Who are the lake poets here? So here we have Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Southey, who used to live in the, in and around the Lake District of England, right? So these are the lake poets, right? Choose from the following options the type of drama that is intended by the author to be read rather than to be performed. It is only to be read. Only to be read. Okay? So here the answer is the closet drama. Okay, because it is in the closet. You cannot perform. How can you perform in a closet where there is no spectator or audience, there is no stage? So you just have to read it, right? So this is the closet drama. Okay. And then we have kitchen sink drama. It is related to the kitchen, the home, the environment, the homely environment, the rooms, the kitchen, the bathroom, the living room. So this would be the setting of these dramas. Kitchen sink drama is related to Pinter, we have John Osborne, we have Arnold Bennett, right? Then we have poetic drama, like the dramas that have verse or poetic lines into it. Like we have Christopher Marlowe. If you will read the text of Christopher Marlowe, then you will see that there are different poetic lines in the drama itself. And then we have folk drama, which is based on some folk like Ramayana, Notanki, Nukkad Natak. Okay, so this. Identify the commonality shared by the authors of Mansfield Park and Middlemarch. So here the answer is the D, that both the novels were written by women. Now Mansfield is written by Jane Austen and Middlemarch is written by George Eliot. Okay, and you should know the pseudonyms also. George Eliot is Mary Ann Evans. Again a repeated question. And Jane Austen has written a work which is Mansfield Park under the pseudonym of, question is pseudonym, under the pseudonym of By a Lady. Okay, very, I would say that the pattern of GATE exam is very much different and they are following the previous year question paper pattern. So I would highly recommend you to go and watch the 2021-2022 paper as well, because this will be of your immense help, right? You will sit in the examination hall and you will remember the PYQs that you have done at our channel. Poetry makes nothing happen. Who said this? So here the answer would be W.H. Auden. Now in his poem, In the Memory of W.B. Yeats, right? In this poem he said, this is an elegy for W.B. Yeats. He said that poetry makes nothing happen, that poetry is of no use. Poetry cannot change people, poetry cannot change country, cannot do anything. It is just an artistic work. Okay, so poetry makes nothing happen, but still he respects poetry, still he respects the work of W.B. Yeats and he respects W.B. Yeats. Okay, and then we have Mariana Moore, as Ezra Pound, Wallace Stevens. Now these are all American poets. Okay, which literary device does the following line employ? A timorous foe and a suspicious friend. So here is the foe and here is the friend. Okay, and these are the contradictory ideas. Foe is an enemy, then we have friend. Okay, second thing, there is a structure parallel, a timorous foe, comma, this. So there are the parallel structures. Okay, so this is an example of antithesis, because the thesis, the arguments, the idea are anti, they are contrasting, but at the same time they have parallel also, that is antithesis. Okay, but when it comes to antistrophe means the repetition of a word, of a sentence again and again, right? We have जैसे कि government of the people, for the people, by the people. This is the democracy's definition. So here we can see there is a repetition of the people, the people, the people. So this is known as antistrophe. Okay. Oxymoron means having contrasting ideas in a word. For instance, bittersweet. So we have oxymoron, contrasting ideas. Bitter bhi hai, sweet bhi hai. Okay, so we have contrasting ideas. Then we have apostrophe. Apostrophe means to call somebody who is not present there. Just we say, oh wild west wind, right? So here we are calling the wind is not present there, right? So oh is a kind of calling, to call somebody, that is apostrophe. Then we have question number 55, which is match the following excerpts with the author. So he rose from the table and advancing to the master basin and spoon in hand and said, somewhat alarmed at his own temerity, that is, please sir, I want some more. So these are the lines that are said by a child in the novel of Charles Dickens. Twist, the name of the novel, right? That child is hungry and he wants food, and there is poverty, and he's saying to his employer, to the boss, that please sir, I want some food, give me some food. Okay, and then we have study sir for delight, for ornament, and for ability. That these are the functions of study that will give you some pleasure and delight, and it will work like an ornament, because if you study you will get good facts, and your language would be good, so it would be like an ornament for you, and it will make you more able, right? So these lines have been given by Francis Bacon in his essay of Studies. Okay, then we have trust thyself, every heart, let me use another color for you. Trust thyself, every heart vibrates to that string, iron string, you know. So we have to trust on ourselves, we have to listen to our own intuitions, right? So these are the lines given by Ralph Waldo Emerson in his essay Self Reliant. Okay, that we have to follow our intuition in order to become independent, and we should not follow the orders of others. And then we have another, it was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. Okay, it is a kind of ironical opening of George Orwell's 1984. So this would be the answer. Okay, answer would be, let me see, A we have to match with the 3, P we have to match with the 3, so these let us just eliminate. Then we have Q, we have to match with the 4, right? So this would be the answer. Okay, the 1667 edition of Paradise Lost had 10 books, and how many more were added in 1674 edition? So in 1667 we had 10 books of Paradise Lost, but in 1674 2 more came. So in order total kitni hogi? 12 books. So there are 12 books of Paradise Lost, and we have another sequel which is Samson Agonistus, and Paradise Lost is written by whom? John Milton, the Puritan, in the Puritan age. Okay, read the following poem and identify the appropriate option. Okay, again a passage, that is, and search for certain things, stemmed bubbled-eyed water bugs, see them perch on dry capillary legs, weightless on the rippled skin of a stream. No, not only prophets walk on water, this bug sits on a landslide of lights and brown eyes deep into this its teeny strip of a sky here. So this is a poem by A.K. Ramanujan. A.K. Ramanujan, okay, The Striders. Here he is talking of the teeny bugs, okay, and these are sitting on the surface of this water, okay, and they have small legs which are like a capillary tube, like small thin legs, and they have been compared to prophets, that they are the prophets, right? It uses free verse form, so yes, because this is in the free verse form, there are no meters or rhymes that have been followed. It employs imagery, so yes, we have the imagery also. These are the MSQs, so there would be multiple answers. So yes, it uses imagery, imageries of like bugs, you can see we have landslide, then we have sky, ripple, skin. So all these are the images that are being provoked in our mind. Then it uses iambic pentameter, so no, we do not have iambic pentameter. What is iambic pentameter? In which we have 5 iambs. What is an iamb? Iamb is made up of stressed plus unstressed syllable, okay, so we have such 5 iambs, so that is iambic pentameter. But here we do not have any, like shall I compare thee to a summer's day, to be or not to be, in those we have iambic pentameter. Then we have, it juxtaposes the non-human with the human, so yes, this would be the answer. Another question is, which of the following employ interior monologue? So interior monologue have been employed in the final chapter of James Joyce Ulysses. These are the modern techniques like monologue, stream of consciousness, and T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, right? So these two would be the answer. Here we have the dramatic monologue, as I have already told you, and this is an elegy on the death of Arthur Hallam, who is a university friend of Alfred Lord Tennyson, right? And this is all about the confusions, frustrations of a character who is J. Alfred Prufrock. He is confused and he is not able to make decisions, right? So this indecisive attitude, and in this we see that how he wants to initiate a proposal to a girl, but he cannot because he is very indecisive, right? So he thinks that whether I should wear another clothes, whether I should comb my hair like this, whether I should do this thing or that thing in order to woo her, okay? So that is an indecisive attitude, that is an insecurity, okay? So this is also an interior monologue because he thinks in his own mind all these questions and all these ifs and buts. Which of the following works may be described as novel in verse? So here the answer would be A and B. Aurora Leigh by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and then we have The Golden Gate by Vikram Seth, and Pamela by Samuel Richard, one of the 4 pillars of English novels. And then there is a parody of Pamela which was written by Henry Fielding, which is Shamila, right? In the Pamela we have the character Pamela. She is very innocent and she was exploited by the main character, who is by the character Mr. B, who is the owner of the house. But here in the Shamila, Pamela have been shown as a clever girl who is making trap by her beauty and getting the money. And then we have Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot, right? Which of the following critics belongs to the deconstructionist school? So here the answer would be Jacques Derrida and Paul de Man and J.H. Miller. So they are all associated with the deconstructionist school, the idea that there is nothing outside the text, that we have to deconstruct the text only, right? And Kate Spade, philosopher, British philosopher, okay, and she advocates the idea that we should consume less, we have to follow minimalism. You do not have to buy everything, you do not have to be materialistic. Why do we need to do makeup? Why have to look beautiful all the time, right? So that is Kate Spade for us. And this J.H. Miller died in COVID-19, okay. Jacques Derrida, he has given the idea of difference, that meaning is deferred, right? And there is a difference in the meaning, that each meaning has a different from another meaning, right? And at the same time, differ plus defer, that is a difference, right? That the meaning of a word gets postponed, it gets delayed, it gets deferred, okay. Clint Brooks' definition of paradox in poetry foregrounds the following qualities. So here the answer would be wonder and irony and contradiction and qualification. Okay, that Clint Brooks has given this the language of paradox. The language of paradox. That in a text we have paradoxes, right? In the text we have paradoxes, and these paradoxes, these opposite ideas are important in order to arrive at a meaning. Okay, and she has a also returns the well wrought on work in which she has talked about, she has analyzed the John Keats poem, right? So this was also a question asked in the GATE 2021. So these contradiction, qualifications, wonder, irony are important. Okay, question 62, two examples of magical realistic fiction includes. So here the answer would be Midnight Children's and then this the Tin Drum. Okay, so they both are example of magic realistic fiction. Magic realist written is associated with Salman Rushdie. The English Teacher is a novel by R.K. Narayan, and Tom Jones is written by novel by Henry Fielding. Okay, who has written Shamila and another work Joseph Andrews. Okay, it is a Picaro novel. Picaro novel is a story of a Picaro, a person who is a wanderer, who is just having adventures in a long journey and trying to reach somewhere. That is a Picaro. It is a kind of gangster, we can say, but he is also having some good qualities. So that is a Picaro novel. Ferdinand de Saussure differentiates language in the terms of, so here the answer would be Lang and Perrault. You tell me in the comment section who gave this metaphor and metonymy. The answer of this is in our last video of 2022, right? Please tell me. And this Lang means that there are rules in a language, right? And this Perrault means that there is an utterance. Because in a language we have rules and then we utter the words, we have utterance. Okay, so that is, he differentiate the language because in the language we have rules, we have the utterance, and he has also given the ideas of Lang Perrault plus signifier and signified. Okay, go and check these two terms also. Which of the following are considered to be typical postmodern narratives? So here the answer would be Italo Calvino's If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, Joan Bart's Lost in the Funhouse, and Thomas Pynchon's V. So these three are the typical examples of a postmodern narrative, because when you will see these works, you will see that here there are postmodern techniques that have been used, right? We have Erasmus Stokes, the bell. That here we have the last question, that is, what does a green reading of a text aim at? So here the answer would be analyzing the implications of a text for environmental concern. Yes, this would be the answer because we have green studies. It is from an ecological point of view. Okay, deconstructing human exceptionalism. So yes, also exceptionalism क्या होता है? Exceptionalism means that human feels that he is the exception, he is the superior, he is superior to animals, he is superior to nature, he can do anything he wants. So that is exceptionalism. But this green reading deconstructs this exceptionalism, that no, you are not an exception, you are not superior, right? You and the people and the animal and the nature, we all are equal, and we have no right in order to eat some animal, in order to exploit or beat some animal, in order to exploit the nature, and in order to exploit the resources of nature, right? Studying connections between human society and the non-human world. So yes, this is also right. And then marginalizing differently abled persons. So this is the wrong, right? So A, B, C would be the answer. So here this is the end of the question paper, right? But not the end of our PYQ series. So we would also, after this lecture, we would also analyze the PYQs of 2024 and 2025, and then we are done and we are ready for 2026, right? So we have already covered 2021, 2022, and this was 2023. So I am taking these lectures in a sequence, so please go and watch the previous lectures as well, and this will be of immense benefit for you, because we are covering the questions from a very comprehensive way, covering all the writers, all the options, all the important works, right? And we are taking the look at the pattern, right? So we would also upload practice questions based on the level of IITs and lectures on important topics for GATE examination. So subscribe our channel if you like this video. Thank you.